entrepreneurs, would you like to make a lot of money? To make a lot of money, you need to start a business, hire a lot of employees, do a lot of marketing, then make a profit, and then you get the money. Don't you think that is a long process? But I will give you a shorter way. That is, if you are a creative person, you have the opportunity to create tons of money. How? Let me tell you a person who has already made it. Do you know Marvel Studios and the founder of it, Mr. Stanley? His job was to create a lot of stories. He created comic books. He kept on writing it and people started liking it. So after a lot of books which is published, he started to create movies out of it. And he became one of the billionaires just by creating things on his own. If you are a person who would like to create something on your own, then it fetches you a lot of money. But there is a danger attached to it. What is that? Whenever you're in a creative space, there is always a threat that it gets copied. Like you would have seen in many of the Indian movies that the directors keep saying that my story has been stolen, my videos have been stolen, people keep stealing my creative works. That is the reason when you are in a creative space, there is a threat for copying, then you need to protect yourself from copying. So what will you do? That is where you need to know about copyright registration. In this video, I'm going to elaborately explain about how to protect your creative work under copyright, and myself Rohini, an intellectual property lawyer from Lee Intelligentsia Law Firm. So what is copyright? When I tell you copyright, it means a right given to a person who has created the work from anyone else who is going to copy it. So that's why it's called copyright. And the person who is getting the right must have created his work originally. So it means that an original work of an author can be protected under copyright. This is what copyright means. So what are all the things which will come under copyright, or what are all the works that you can register under copyright? There are 5 things. One is literary work. Like if you're writing a book, it may be any type of books, but if it's your original work, it might be a story, it might be a fictional, it might be a fact, it might be an opinion. But if it's your original work, it can be protected under copyright. Second, music. If you are a music director, or you are a sound engineer creating a background sound, or if you are a singer trying to sing your own voice, all these comes under the music where you can protect it under copyright. Third, any artistic work, like if you're drawing something and it amounts to a kind of artistic work, you can register it under copyright. Then any type of photography or videography, like now you see a lot of people are becoming a photographers professionally and videographers. So those people, when they are trying to create their own original work, it can be protected under copyright. Last but not least, computer softwares. Like for example, if you are creating your own codings, which can amount to a very good software, then that can be protected under copyright. So these are the 5 things which can be protected under copyright, and these are the original work. Now, when I mentioned that following things can be registered, why it should be registered? Again, let me point out, to protect it from the competitors or protect it from the people who want to duplicate it. So you're protecting people from copying it. Why you have to actually protect? I have created my own work. Why should I go and register before the government for copyright? Because whenever there is a work which is being copied and you have a legal consequences, you're going before the court and fighting that this is my original work, that person has duplicated it, then there is a solid evidence which can stand for you inside the court. What is that? When you register your copyright, you get a DAIR number or a document which is supportive of that. And if you're going to submit it to the court that I have registered my creative work and this is the evidence for the same, then this evidence of document is the solid evidence which can stand for you before the court. That is the reason we keep telling many of the directors, many of the authors to register their work as soon as possible when they finish their work. So once they finish their work, if they're going to register, they have a solid evidence to go against anybody who is copying it. Now let me tell you the procedures. So what is the procedure of registering a copyright? Now for all over India, registration of copyright happens only in Delhi, but now every procedure has been transferred to an online platform. So sitting in any part of India, we can file a copyright through online itself. Second, what are all the documents which is required to be furnished? Whenever you're filing a copyright, you need to file a form called Form 4, in which you are mentioning that I'm so and so applying for so and so copyright. Then you have to mention another form called Statement of Particulars, where you're mentioning whether I am the author or I am the owner, whether my work is published or whether my work is unpublished. See, these details will be furnished. There is another form called Statement of Further Particulars, where you will mention whether I am the only author or there are any co-authors or there are any owners. For example, you might be an employee in a company who have done the work for the company, but you become the author of that work, but company owns that copyright. So in that way, those details has to be furnished in Statement of Further Particulars. So when these three details are ready, you have to attach 2 copies of your work. Suppose if your work is a book, then 2 copies of it. If it's a music, then 2 CDs of it. If it's a photo or video, again you can copy it into a CD and 2 CD of it has been furnished. Once you file it before the online registry, then you have to submit these 2 hard copies to the government. Once you file it, you get something called DAIR number. There's nothing called copyright number, it's called DAIR number. DAIR number means that I have applied for a copyright and this is my DAIR number, which I can mention that my work is copyrighted. But you know what? You have only applied it, you have not got the authenticated registration certificate, because there is a procedure for that. Once you apply, the government will take your application, see whether all the details are appropriate, whether there is any NOC, that is no objection certificate, has to be filed, because in case of authors and owners, there has to be some kind of extra no objection certificates needs to be filed. So once, if that is required, government will ask for it. If not, government will publish and then directly go for registration. Once you get a registration, then it is an authenticated evidence that you are the registered proprietor of that copyright. But there is a validity period for it. So what is a validity for a copyright? Validity for a copyright is, if you register that work, the lifetime of the author plus 60 years. So until the person who is the author, until he dies, plus 60 years, he gets the right for the copyright. So once you register this, you get a lifetime actually passive income where you can make a lot of money out of it. So initially when Stanley was writing her book, he was not making a lot of money. But once he wanted to recreate that work into a photos, videos, movies, then it became a lot of money. This is how the creative space can give you a lot of money just by creating things on your own. But remember, there is always a threat to copy, so you should copyright it. Second thing is, it must be an original work. You should not copy someone else's work. It must be your original work. These are the basic 2 parameters of copyright registration. So who can apply for a copyright? Either the author or the owner. As I already mentioned, author is a person who creates the original work. But owner is a person who can own the copyright. Suppose you are an employee, then the owner becomes the company. Or if you are an author of a book, but the publishing company owns the right of publishing the books, then they also become the owner of that copyright. So in that way, there are 2 people who can apply, either the author or the owner. But there might be more clarifications and doubts which you might be getting it. For that, you just call us the number to get the clarity on that. So this is Rohini here, an intellectual property lawyer from Lee Intelligential Law Firm. For more details on intellectual property law, subscribe to our channel.